think, Mr. Mayor, it's politics above all with you. What happened to your Twitter account @politicized? Did you have a change? I know over time we learn and we have a change of heart. Did you have a change of heart? Controlling the message, 2017 Rules of Council, 2019 Rules of Council. What's the social media policy say? Through the Rules of Council, the council members, this site should have, and they're talking about their internet sites, this site should have a disclaimer predominantly featured on the site, such as, this is a private page under the sole control of blank. The comments expressed by me and my own are my own and do not reflect the opinion, blah, 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 blah. You can read them. As this site is not monitored by the city, do not use this site to request city records. We can look at social media guideline number 3, where it says the site should have a disclaimer predominantly featured on the site, such as, and then it goes on to describe what their disclaimer is supposed to be. So the city is directing your council members, taking away their right to act as they freely wish, and telling them they need to have their disclaimers. Some council members did put that disclaimer on their website or on their Facebook page. Others did not. Are they, if they didn't put it on, are they violating their social media guidelines? Part 4. Let's look at that. Elected officials should not, and not is capitalized, promote their private internet platforms at official city meetings or in official city correspondence. The city, again, using these social media guidelines, are they controlling the message? Because what is put on, say, Richard Shaw's or Nancy Burge or Andy Hill's page, if they tell you to go look at that page or they refer you over to that page, then at that point, are they breaking the guidelines? Is the city, the power structure of the city, controlling the message? I would say yes. These examples prove, Mr. Mayor, that the message is attempted to be controlled. Attempted, allegedly. Now, in the social media policy under social media standards, under 1, elected officials should not disclose information that is considered privileged or confidential. By way of example, such information may include, but is not limited to, certain personal information, non-public information from criminal investigations, and business trade secrets. Has that been done recently? I don't know. I'm asking the question. That was just something that sparked my interest. Mr. Mayor, number 2, says elected officials should be honest and accurate when posting information or news and should quickly correct any mistakes, misstatements, and or factual errors in content upon discovery. When you listen to this podcast, I expect you to correct your mistakes. Here's one, and here's a doozy. Number 8 of your social media standards. Elected officials should be mindful of the risk of electronic communication in relation to the Ohio Public Records Law and the Open Meeting Law. Semicolon. Communication between elected officials should be avoided on internet platforms. What are you telling other elected officials to do? Communication between elected officials should be avoided on internet platforms. You're telling them they cannot have communication on internet platforms. Is that not controlling the message? You're correct, Mayor. The truth is not subjective. The Courier article was pretty on point and accurate, and the quote by Mr. Otto, there's no need to regulate that among council, he said. It's unnecessary. In my opinion, it's just another attempt to control certain messages, and I just don't find that necessary. Well, there you go. I've provided specifics. Need I go on? If you need more, let me know. So the thread moves on with, Jeff Gore, you do understand what questions are. You have heard that from several outlets, reputable outlets, that may be something you and your colleagues could reconsider. The social media policy is one example. The other authoritarian council rule changes are as well. That has been discussed. And then I gave the definition of politics. Politics, the activities associated with the governance of a country or other area, especially the debate or conflict among individuals or parties having or hoping to achieve power. And then I wrote, I hope you have a good rest of your day, and we'll wait to watch the upcoming meeting to hear the rest of the discussion. And Mr. Gore writes back, I plan on attending trivia at the new brewery. Should be a good night. Thanks. And that's how it ended. Cordially, I believe. I think you can have a good heated debate and end it cordially like it was ended. I think we have fundamental disagreements on a lot of things. And I believe I went through and gave proof exactly where I was coming from, exactly why I question government, and why I will continue to question government, and why I will continue to inspire others, or to try to inspire others to get involved in city government. This is important, people. It is huge to stay involved and get involved in city government. They are making decisions on your behalf. They work for you. They are your servants. They need to serve you. Initially, this podcast was not going to go down this route. I had a whole different podcast planned, such as life. So after the April 8th initial post on Brick City Town Hall, I didn't hear back from the mayor. It took a day or two. But then on the 9th, Tuesday, April 9th, 2019, 3:22 p.m., I wrote to the clerk of council to see if I could get some of my questions answered. Because I don't know what's up with their social media policy. You never know if they're going to respond or don't respond or whatever. Anyway, so I wrote, and I'm going to read you the email that I wrote. Tony, I was curious of a few issues and wanted to get clarification so not to misunderstand or misinform. From the work session of 2 April and the topic of the Lexington Place TIF district, the final decision appeared to be 3 actions. A, legislation for Monday night, 8 April, of a non-school TIF in Lexington Place. B, a letter to the Huber Heights School Board signed by, I believe, Vice Mayor Seth Morgan. C, legislation amending the 97 legislation and withholding the payment due to the Huber Heights City Schools. Neither the TIF, the withholding of the funds, or the letter to the schools was on the agenda or discussed on 8 April. The only thing mentioned during the regular session was a meeting between city executive staff, city manager, and school administration to discuss these issues. We played that recording earlier. So my questions are, was there a letter sent to the schools? If so, where can I find a copy? Is the city's plan still to withhold the funding? Number 3, did the city attorney find any discrepancies in the actions agreed to by council? At this time, when I wrote this, Mayor Gore did not communicating on Brick City Town Hall. Number 4, what authorized city staff to discuss the issues of TIFs, CRAs, and pilot payments with the Huber Heights City Schools? Thank you for the time it may take to answer these questions. I feel like I may have missed a step in the process, or the city has decided on a different direction. If these topics will be discussed on the upcoming work session, I will have no issues waiting until then for the answers. I do not want to add to the workload you already experience. Respectfully, Matt Truman. I'm not trying to be a jerk, guys. I'm just trying to understand. I'm not trying to create conspiracies. I'm just trying to understand. I do believe holding government accountable, of course, but I'm just trying to understand and ask questions. But when you do that and you're on the other side where you've been pushed, I didn't push myself on the other side. I thought the mayor and I were cordial until recently. I thought maybe when I got back, we'd have a cold beer. But apparently I'm just a conspiracy theorist with no proof of anything. I'm just spitting out information that is wrong, misinformed, misunderstood. But when you ask questions, if you feel like, hey, and I don't want to be misunderstood, can I ask these questions? That email that I wrote, I did not receive a response back on. I'm sure I will. I've never had trouble. You guys in the city of Heber Heights, in my opinion, I think you guys have a great clerk of council. What a fantastic job he does. I had the pleasure of sitting on the Charter Review Commission, and he was there often. Very informative, very helpful, always there. And I know you guys know that you have a great clerk of council. I know you guys know that. So I'm not saying he didn't respond to me to be a jerk. I'm just saying that there's probably other things he had to do. Plus, I said, I'll wait until the work session. What it feels like to me is the mayor's paranoid. Some of those politicians up there, some of those politicos may possibly be paranoid about criticism, and they don't want to hear it. We're smarter than you guys. You just listen to us, and we'll take care of it. Just zip it. Those other people, they're conspiracy theorists. They're just they're out to get us. No, I love Heber Heights. I just want to see Heber Heights move in a good, positive, productive direction. I want to see leaders serving to be a servant, not serving for political agendas. Is that wrong? Listen, I have been paying attention to Heber Heights politics for a while now. There have been incidences that have made me question certain integrities. I'm not saying anything other than that. Sometimes government makes you question integrities of politicians. And it's frustrating to the people. It's frustrating to the people. I know there are frustrated people out there. The message that we are being told is only what they want us to hear. And the proof is the light discussion about, well, we're going to meet with them. But they didn't say, hey, listen, we were going to have this legislation. I know that was the direction we had. So what happened? That's what I want to know. The mayor made a decision call to not include certain things on the agenda because legal was not prepared. But that was not discussed. Is that important information for the citizens to know? I would say, yeah, that's pretty doggone important that the citizens know that this piece of legislation that was very highly contested, that was a firestorm of discussion. But I'm a conspiracy theorist. No, that's what they do. And when I say they, it's a collective they. When somebody is, well, what happened before? Anytime you bring up a point and you can prove that point, the best way to say you're wrong is to say either say you're wrong or say you're a conspiracy theorist. That's untrue. You're making shit up. You're a liar. And then they start to attack personal character. And then in private conversations, they'll spread these little rumors. It's happened. I've got the messages. I've had private conversations. I'm not stupid. I'm not going to come on this podcast and say things that are not true. What position does that put me in? Am I going to break my integrity for? No, not going to happen. I am going to question though. And I'm going to question the government. And I'm going to continue to question the government. I think that's our job to question the government. There are good politicians out there. But I would say now there are few good politicians than there are bad. And when I say bad ones, I mean politicians who only have personal agendas to complete. Looking to say, that was my idea. I brought that to you. I gave that to you. No matter where it came from or who said it or who did it or who created it. Okay, enough of that. Listen, I beat it to death. And I'm done beating it to death. I will listen to the explanation. The April 16th work session agenda is not up yet. It's Thursday, April 11th. A lot of times it's up on Fridays. So when that agenda comes up, maybe we'll talk about it. I'm sure the city manager report is going to be interesting. So I'll be interested in listening to that. But I had to do this podcast. Because when you write things like you're a conspiracy, that's the beginning of trying to discredit the other opinion. Instead of having a legitimate, respectful, honest discussion about things that are happening, you want to deflect, accuse, and disrespect